Good evening, ladies and gents, and welcome to my channel. The Iran and Israel US war is in full swing right now, as we all know, and the information space around it is extremely dense and very confusing. You are led to believe all sort of things between deep fakes, between influencers, between outrageous statements by politicians, and so on. It's very hard to know what's true and what isn't in today's uh, information landscape. So, anyways, I'm used to looking at numbers, so that's what I want to do. I want to know what people actually think in places like US, Israel, and Iran. So I'm going to start with a quick digest of what people think in US and Israel, and then do a longer deep dive into what people think in Iran, because that's much harder to understand because of the information blackout. But there are numbers we actually can look at. First, let's move to US. So here we are, Washington, D.C. All right, so you're easily led to believe that everyone hates the war, right? Because that's what most mainstream media says, and that's what most influencers says. Let's just say the anti-war camp is very loud. But if you actually look at statistics, it tells a different story. For instance, a poll made by Politico, which is center-left, so not at all pro-MAGA or anything like it, put out a poll on March 13. Amongst the MAGA base, it was 81% that was for, and only 7% that was against. The rest were unsure, undecided. According to the non-MAGA Republicans, the for camp was 61, and the against camp was only 16. So basically, we can say that on average, amongst all US population, the numbers are somewhere between 53 against and 45 for, and the rest undecided. And that's amongst both Democrats and Republicans. However, when you look at like all the headlines, that's not at all the impression you get. The impression you get is that everyone in US hates the war, and that's just not the case. Yes, people are afraid of mission creep. Yes, people are afraid of another Afghanistan or Iraq. No one wants to see nation building or exporting democracy or another quagmire in the Middle East. But then again, I think it's important to think that US also have done a lot of good regime change operations, like during World War II, after like Germany and Japan and Panama and other places. So our perspective should be a little bit more than just Iraq and Afghanistan. Anyways, if we look at Israel, so let's go across the ocean, and here we are. Israel, on the other hand, it's very different. Over 80%, according to different opinion polls, all opinion polls are for the war. Why? I mean, they are the ones paying the highest price, right? Because they have both the military fighting in the war, and they're also on the receiving end of all the bombs, all the ballistic missiles and drones. Um, so they have the worst of both worlds. So US have obviously like they are fighting in the war, but they don't receive any missiles and so on in their home country, and the GCC countries obviously are on the receiving end of a lot of the Iranian aggression, but especially United Arab Emirates, but they don't have any troops involved and so on. So Israel really have the worst of both worlds, but still they are extremely positive towards the war, because not because it's fun to be in a war. It's absolutely not. People are very sick of running to shelters, but because they know the war is existential. Because IRGC have said many times that Israel is a one-bomb country, and are developing the nuclear warheads. And when people say to Jews that they want to exterminate you, we take them seriously, right? So, yeah, for Israelis, the war is existential for a good reason. Yes. Okay, ladies and gents, so now we have come to our final destination, Iran, where it's notoriously hard to get any information out because the IRGC, the Iranian regime, has obviously blocked internet access for 99% of the people, apart from a few chosen one that works for the government. Although some have access to some ways to get information out, but it's very sparse. It's impossible right now to conduct any polls. However, we can look at the most recent polls that have been conducted. That's very informative. So here is a very interesting one about uh, a report on Iranians' political preferences in 2024. So a significant majority of Iranians, around 70%, oppose the continuation of the Islamic Republic. The highest level of opposition, 81, occurred during the Women Life Freedom Uprising. The dominant political orientation in society is regime change as precondition for change, approximately 40%, followed by structural transformation and transition from the Islamic Republic. Support for the principles of the Islamic Revolution and the supreme leader has decreased from 18 in 2022 to 11 2024. Opposition to the Islamic Republic is higher among the youth, urban residents, and the highly educated. An overwhelming majority of Iranians, 89%, support democracy. This survey is made by an organization called Gaman, which is based in Germany, and they are specialized in polling in Iran. However, because they do their polls online and via phones, it's important to keep in mind that it's obviously a bit biased amongst population who are online to start with. I mean, this was in 2024 when they actually had internet, but still, it tends to be more urban and youth population, and that generally checks out. Normally, young urban populations are much more pro-West, pro-democracy, pro-freedom, while people on the countryside tend to be more conservative, more religious, and so on. But still, it offers an interesting indicator. Here is another poll about Iranians' attitude toward the 12-day war by the same institute. So keep in mind it's the same bias, but still interesting. So here we can see about 44 of the population held the Islamic Republic of Iran responsible for starting the war, while 33 blamed Israel for initiating it, and 16 believed that both sides were equally at fault. More than half of the population, 51, believed that Israel was successful and achieved its objectives in a 12-day war. In contrast, 16 thought the Islamic Republic had been more successful, while 19 said neither side had reached its goal. Regarding favorability of countries asked in the survey, the United States received the most positive ratings, 53%, and the least negative, 37% amongst Iranian. Israel ranked second with 39 positive and 48 negative views. Among the 8 countries included in the survey, Russia 68% negative, United Kingdom 65% negative, and China 58% negative, and Turkey 53%. Half, 49%, viewed Saudi Arabia negatively, while 1/3, 30 viewed it positively. Regarding the European Union, 38 expressed a positive view and 46 a negative one. I think that's very telling and very interesting, because one would think that they would hate the 2 countries that attacked them, right? But actually, according to this poll, those are the 2 favorite countries. So that should tell you quite a lot. Of course, some people are going to say, like, yeah, but now that they are attacked again, they're going to rally around the flag. And yeah, that's a fair point. Some certainly will. But on the other hand, there was a massacre that happened January 7 and 8, where about 40,000 young people were brutally murdered by the government. So I think that's going to damper the whole rally around the flag narrative this time around. But this is not numbers, that's just my own speculations. And then we can look at other interesting numbers as well, like, for instance, how religious Iranians are. So this is a poll also conducted by the same Gaman Institute. People who self-report as Shiite Muslims are 32.2%. None, 2.2, by none, I guess they are maybe spiritual but don't follow any specific religion. Atheist, that's 8.8%. And remember, this is a country where you get killed for leaving Islam, right? Zoroastrian, spiritual, agnostic are all like 5, 6, 7. And then there are some other very small minorities. So that's only 32% of the population, 42.2% of the population according to this Pope that considers itself as Muslim. And we also saw that during the last uprising in January, they burnt down a lot of mosques. Yeah, it's a very secular population, which also should be an indicator of their overall favorability of the regime, because the regime is an Islamic regime, which some sees indeed as a Iranian occupation. Anyways, that was all for today. I will dig deeper into each of those subjects in the coming episodes. I assembled most of this with this cute little app I've been working on with for research, media monitoring on a daily basis, socials, official statements, rumors, signals, social network analysis, where I can put everything together. And yeah, if you want to play around with that, you can subscribe to my Substack. And otherwise, please subscribe to this channel, give me a like. And if you want to support my work and you're interested in this sort of subjects and in frontier technologies, please buy my book about the future of artificial intelligence and other frontier technology in governance. All links below. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.